Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Recently, we got word from Josh Bridges over at Raven that a BREN nerf is coming. It's going to happen regardless of when it does. We are going to see a shift in the long range meta because of that, because the BREN has been so dominant for so long. On top of that, with the new 300 health system in place for Caldera, the long range meta has shifted a bit already. Today, I wanted to break down the top weapons you want to be using for those medium to long range engagements. As we go through them all, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. Really does help the channel grow. And of course, if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, I got you covered every day with all things going on in COD. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. So to start things off, we're doing 4 weapons in one, right? And I'm sure you can probably guess why that is. They're all Cold War rifles and they all have the exact same attachment setup because there is absolutely zero diversity in any Cold War weapon build. We're talking about the Cold War AK, the XM4, which I have as the example gun here, the Vargo 52, then also the C58. Those to me are the top Cold War rifles, especially for long range. And like I said, the setup is the exact same. You just have to plug it in for whichever one of those 4 weapons you want to use. First up, of course, we're going for the agency suppressor, or in the case of like the AK, it's the GRU suppressor. Next up, we're going for the task force barrel, or if you're using the AK, I believe it's the RPK barrel. So whatever the last barrel is in those cases, obviously those two are giving you the best velocity, the best range possible out of the muzzle and barrel, and it's keeping you off the map as well. For the underbarrel, we're going for field agent, or the Spetsnaz grip as it's also called, better control all around. For the magazine, especially because of the health increase, I feel like you probably want to be using the 60 round mag all across, just in case you run into disadvantaged situations where you're fighting 1-on-2, 1-on-3, 2-on-4, even in some cases. Having a larger magazine there will save your life in many different engagements. So pretty safe bet to run 60. Then lastly, we're going for the 3x optic on all of them as well. I wish that wasn't the case. I'd love to break down each of these weapons individually, but just the way that they've done the meta setups for Cold War guns and what attachments are the best, everything is so boring. Also, real quick before we get into the remainder of the weapons, wanted to give a quick shout out to my sponsors over at Gamer Advantage. If you guys are ever looking to cop a new pair of blue light glasses, Gamer Advantage does them the absolute best. These are without a doubt the most essential part of my day-to-day setup. I cannot recommend these things enough. If you ever want to get a pair for yourself, Code Immortal has you covered with a nice little discount. Something that I feel like is not boring though right now is the sniper meta, because we do have 2 options and both of them are a little bit different in ways that to me at least makes things very fun. You could use the Kar 90 AK, or the next weapon we're going to look at previewing into the future here, the Swiss. Both these options I feel like are still the 2 top choices for snipers. Sure, the Tundra is pretty good. You know, the HDR, the AX50, the Pellington, they're also really good options. To me though, everyone is either Swiss or Kar. There's really like, it's a 50-50 split most of the time. The Kar setup is pretty basic here. The main drawback of this though is the fact that it does have that slower reload, whereas the Swiss in some cases, it just feels a little bit off. The velocity doesn't feel like as consistent as the Kars in some cases. They are just different enough, like I said, to spice things up. Here though, we are starting monolithic suppressor and the 27.6 inch barrel. Also going for the tac laser. This comes stock with an iron sight. We can't be using that for long range, so of course we got to go for the sniper scope. I go ahead, I put on the cross thread reticle for that. Then lastly, I go for focus as well, just to help out with that flinch resistance, because there's a lot of flinch on these things now, and you definitely want to have that helping you out if you're getting shot at while you're trying to snipe. Great setup though, same one we've been using for quite some time, and it still dominates long range sniping. Now on the flippity flip with the Swiss, it's going to be a pretty basic setup just like the Kars. Of course, we're running GRU suppressor. We're also running the combat recon barrel. That's the monolithic suppressor and the largest barrel equivalent here for Cold War. Going to give us the best velocity possible, which is obviously ideal in that sniping situation. We're going for the 5 milliwatt here. This basically acts as the tac laser, better ADS speed, so that's sort of a no-brainer here. Good thing about the Swiss, the base sniper scope is great. You don't have to waste an attachment there. Instead, we can go for something like the airborne elastic wrap, which is going to give us a better ADS and better flinch resistance, so sort of acting like focus there. And then you can mess around with the 5th attachment. You could go for a fast mag if you wanted to and get a really fast reload off. You could go for something like a bruiser grip, which is usually what I choose, because then you get some better aiming stability and also better movement speed, so it's a little bit more aggressive. Like I said, the Swiss and the Kar are similar, but they're just different enough so that the sniping meta is actually fun and a little bit diverse, and both are great choices. Now, obviously, with the BREN nerf, something is probably going to take its place in a way. Maybe it won't be as dominant as the BREN has been for the past couple of months, but there will be a weapon that's similar to it, and that to me is the DP27, another big mag LMG that has a great damage per mag, and it's very easy to use over range. We've talked about this one as well a little bit over the course of the past couple of weeks, but to me, this thing is a no-brainer choice really for a quote-unquote BREN replacement, because its stats are relatively similar. This though is a little bit more difficult to use. It's a little bit slower. The reload's not as ideal as the Bren's, and that to me balances it out a lot more than what the Bren is now. So first up here, we are going for the MX silencer, better control, keeping us off the map. For the barrel, the 680 is easily the best choice here. Better horizontal control, which this does have a little bit of, but also better velocity, so it's going to be better for long range. For the optic, I prefer the 3-6 on all my long range guns. You could use the 2.5 times or any other optic you prefer though. For the stock, the VZV and the S2M are both great. VZV though is going to help out with that accuracy and control during sustained fire, which to me is just crucial and too difficult to pass up in most cases. For the underbarrel, hand stop of course, because it's helping out with a little bit vertical and a little bit horizontal. For the magazine, I just like the basic 105 round Pans extended mag. The base damage here is fantastic. Like I said, very close to the Bren's, so that works just fine. Obviously going for lengthened, going for polymer on here as well for the best control. Perk 1, hard scope, easily. It's not as good as it was before, and it's going to help out primarily when you just start ADSing, but that better control there is going to be crucial in long range fights. Then perk 2, of course, we're going for fully loaded, just because that max ammo again is pretty ideal. Standard LMG setup here, but like I said, when the Bren is no longer the king, this could, you know, in a certain way be the prince. Then lastly, we got one of my all-time favorite weapons that we just talked about the other day, the Bruen. This thing has like no damage drop off. It's insanely good, and currently already beats the Bren in a handful of ways. So, you know, when it gets nerfed, it's going to be even better than it was before in that head-to-head comparison, where it's already winning as is, right? It's just a little bit harder to use with the control. It has, you know, slightly worse mobility in some cases. But in general, I love the Bruen. It's a ton of fun to use. Obviously, we're starting off with monolithic suppressor. Going to go for the largest barrel option here with the Summit, alongside the Commando foregrip, the 60 round mags, which make this thing more of an AR LMG hybrid than anything else. And this is what gives it the best mobility. If you were to use it without this, it still has really good stats, but it's not going to be nearly as fast. That's what makes it more of an LMG. This makes it more of that rifle, despite still being really good for long range, which is what I love. Then for the optic, you could go for the hollow sight with the blue dot, or if you don't have the blue dot unlocked, go for the VOK 3x optic. You really can't go wrong with either of those choices there. And that being said, those are the top weapons in the long range meta as it stands right now. It is very open. You could try and use weapons that we don't mention here. Things like the EM2, the Grau, the M4, the M13, other snipers if you wanted to, some other LMGs as well. It's very open. These to me though are going to give you the most bang for your buck, if you will. Easy recoil across all of them, good damage, good velocities, just all the you know, perfect combinations for a good long range weapon. But that's going to do it for today. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, or if you have not already subscribed, every day I got you covered with all things going on in COD. So be sure to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. That way you can always guarantee you are up to date. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.